Good evening to everyone, and thank you for participating the investor call. I think 2021 was very significant year in the journey of intellect, not from financial perspective but from technology perspective as well. I think the whole business, as you know, banking has become three big shift has happened in banking industry. The technology is banking become technology. Data is a new oil. Experience is all about everything. And in this area, the new era of banking has emerged during COVID time. So COVID has pushed entire digital transformation to a new level. And 2021 for Intellect uh, has played very key role from a perspective of the way technologies are built. So Intellect had a great technologies till 2017 or 18, which are related to our products. And in last 3 years, 2018 onwards, when we invested the money in New York and we invested the money in UK by setting up the team there to make it a data technology piece in 2017 and invested over $40 million in US on data technologies and similarly invested on cloud technology. That has given a substantial push to our technologies. So what we are celebrating over here is a outcome of the efforts which is put in by Intellect team, the brilliant Intellect teams in four areas of technologies. So first, what is required by the industries? Go to the next slide. Yeah, so this is to go back previous. So highly secure hyperscale cloud technology was a very, very big dream. Here we pick up a technology from Netflix. Netflix has a high streaming technology, and that technology gives you mouse over analytics when you take a mouse over analytics. And that's a strong technology for huge scale of data, which is there to be sustainable kind of experience. We are substantially ahead by using a technology which is typically used for streaming to be used for a corporate banking area. And now we'll go for the retail banking area. So streaming technology and API technology are highly hyperscale technologies. High performance technologies for high volumes. We are able to just put almost 5,000 TPS transaction per second technologies. Earlier, typically, just to give a reference, banking industry used to run with 100 TPS or 200 TPS at the most. We are able to expand this capacity to 5,000 TPS, and that's what is ringing the bell in our advanced markets. Customer experience technologies, the entire UX experience, the way we build the customer experience technologies we built up. Data insights, I mentioned to you in Technology Day, those technologies are again very, very smart technologies and getting a very good traction and pipeline. Banesh will give you the brief that we are getting a high quality of reception in the market. And then looking at the complete digital insight, which is a wiring of operations and ensuring high STP. So I'll not go into details because this is a part of Technology Day, but these 5 elements are very critical, which are driven based on the 4 underlying technologies, which is the AI mesh platform, there's a document IDX, there's a Turmeric, and banking operating system. The architectures of each one of them is in next few slides. So not to just move on each slide, but we don't spend too much time. It's been done. It's a complex technology, 7 element over data insight. Then move to next. This is about Turmeric platform. The benefit for the customer. This helping us to show the POCs to the customer, proof of concept using Turmeric in less than 4 weeks. And that is helping us to sometime mitigate RFPs and cutting down the RFP time. And it gives you the agile delivery. Turmeric gives agile delivery to the customer that when I'm building the transformational agenda of the customer, I can demonstrate that every 3 weeks, how is the project working. Earlier, all the transformation project is a multi-year projects. We are moving to multi-week where the customer is able to do it. And that's what is getting deal in Canada, deal in Germany, or deal in France that's coming from this Turmeric platform, because it has got all the 5 components which is required to build an application from Experience Studio to API Exchange to Developer Sandbox. And these technologies can be there, but now in 2021, what we have done is We have demonstrated this technology in Germany for the client like Auto, which is a highly demanding client, or in Canada, or in France, and they are working smoothly. Next. This is our complete fintech cloud, which we have built up. Move on these technologies. This technology which I mentioned, API-based technologies, and the technology which is related to streaming technologies, all are part of this. These technologies, how it is ringing to the bell, and what is the need of the market. So need of the market has become more of a two things. It's like a IKEA furniture. If you look at IKEA model, now IKEA model in last 50 years is not able to replicate by many other players in the world, because they separated each piece separately. They are able to package, reduce the logistics cost of the transportation. Same way, if I look at it, our composable technology, we could able to break down a package business components, which is PBCs. So we break down like core banking, lending and credit card, which Rajesh will speak about. They're able to bring out 35 PBCs and 300 APIs through which a new business solution can be designed, which is a composable business design. Today, Gartner says that there are four things are important: composable thinking, composable business design with contextuality built into it, composable and contextual architecture, and then finally we are looking for composable technologies. And we are dot on what Gartner and other analysts are in the market saying today. Go to next slide. So these are the set of products where we are applying these contextual technologies, which most of you are aware. We are applying these technologies for digital transaction banking. We are applying these technologies for payments. We are applying for liquidity. We are applying for payments, trade and supply chain finance. We are able to integrate digital core, lending, cards, retail banking, wealth, and central banking. So that's the power of, and then we are moving to treasuries, brokerage, asset services, capital, underwriting, workstation, risk analyst, magic submission. Where Noverica is saying we are the best in the world on AI technology platform. And then our government portal, which we are fully managing, is growing healthily now. And Turmeric platform and IDX is the Magic Aadhaar launch, which happened in a short period of time, is delivering a great pipeline creation right now. Next. From here, we are moving to market leadership. We have 25 customers now in Americas, 23 in Europe, 53 in APAC, 139 customers in India, Middle East, and Africa. They are spread across 97 countries, and that's the beauty of us, that we are able to build up a regulatory framework which is important for the banking in 97 countries, so that our applications become much, much faster. Move next. In recent past, this 5 wins in Austria, Sweden, Germany, France, UK, US, and Canada on a new technology architecture, composable and contextual architecture, is just giving us our hands full for our ability to expand. So we are hiring a lot of people right now in these markets to service it. Move next. Our competition in this market, we have shared with you. In a consumer banking, we have Temenos, Finastra, TCS, Finacle, Mambu, Thought Machine, Encino. In transaction banking, Finastra, ACI Worldwide, CGI, Bottomline. Banking is Carbrata, Plank, Palantir, and risk and treasury is SunGard, Finastra, and Calypso. We have added few leadership profiles in US. Jim has joined there, Kyle has joined, and we are adding a leadership bandwidth in Europe and US as we are moving forward, because 2021 we have won many clients in US. So US is opening up for us. So with this, our whole focus, which was there for 2021 to start monetizing from industrialization phase, has culminated very beautifully by having a net PAT of 263 crore initially when we mentioned that we will cross 200 crore. I think our estimate was 250 crore and we could able to achieve more than our estimate number of 250 crore in this year. Our EBITDA, which was estimated to be around 300 crore, we could able to achieve 357 crore. On collection front, from 150 days, we can move them back to 114 days of DSO. So it means all the deliveries are happening perfectly and it's reducing the DSOs. So our execution capital that we deliver what we promised has been highlighted in two shapes. One is NPS, Net Promoter Score. So our customers are more referenceable. They are promoting our product in the marketplace. And this is an important point in a product journey. When your customer become promoter, then the growth really happens because then your sales effort are in not inviting at a level 1 customer. We will take level 3 customer directly. So sales cycle time comes down because of that. And with all these indicators, which are all moved in the right direction. So in a single year, I'm very proudly saying the amount of work which each leadership team has done is amazing during the COVID year. In spite of COVID, the families are having a COVID and small houses in which they are operating from. But it's amazing to see that in 12 months time, so much change and transformation can be happen on all the front, from technology front, market development front, leadership development front, our execution development, execution capability front, and then resulting into the financial metrics, which is one would like to look at it very, very satisfying financial metrics. So this point of time, I'll pass on to Manish for highlighting LOBs. And all your question, I will be there to answer, which is a specific question, but I wanted to start technology first because that's where we are in. And that's where the difference in the next 3 to 5 years will be there, which is where we are clearly seeing the growth trajectory in coming years.
Thanks, Arun. You can go into the next slide. So what I'm going to talk about is, once again, reiterate what I talked about in the technology day. What's our vision? What's our technology vision? It's to enable consumerization of commercial banking. What do I mean by it is, what capabilities the retail consumer could get. And in the end, all of us are retail consumers. How in the corporate world, when we go in a corporate role, how do you get those level of capabilities and on-tap functionality or what you want to enable, a self-servicing capability, the analytics, like Arun talked about, powered by the Netflix capabilities, which we have leveraged, that real-time contextuality, how all the analytics is available just on a hover over, a single click design like Amazon uses it. The user experience, you don't have to go through multiple tabs or multiple portfolios to understand what your balances are and what actions you need to take to run on that. All of that has been built on contextual, composable, hyperscale cloud technologies. That's the crux of it. We've developed two specific engines in it. And one is Lisa, which brings the contextuality, which is from the Netflix capabilities, and from hyperscaling is the Pegasus data engineering technology. Based on this, we've been making an impact to all our products. Next slide, please. We've got 5 platforms over there where we put our investments in the last 2 years to make them cloud native. And that's why we have been consistently chosen as a #1 best-selling wholesale banking product provider. And 2 specific products, digital transaction banking and corporate liquidity management, be a de facto market standards from that perspective and winning most of the deals. And that's what I'll briefly talk about one of those platforms of the wins and the successes we have had, which is corporate liquidity. If you can go to the next slide, please. We just announced a big deal end of last quarter, which is with Society General. And here's their vision of what they wanted to achieve for their leadership vision of how a one bank image can be provided to all their corporate customers. That capability will be powered by technology provided by iGTB for liquidity and payments capability. And this is a fairly large bank from its size. One more addition to what we have done. Go on to the next slide. In the last 5 quarters, quarter on quarter, we've been closing fairly large deals with some of the largest banks in the market. We closed the last year with HSBC, followed by First Abu Dhabi Bank, BNY Mellon, Northern Trust. And in the last quarter, we closed Society General and Lloyds Bank. With this, now we have 40 plus customers for liquidity across 56 countries. By the time we implementation for Society General complete, we will have tax and regulatory framework, which is over the next 24 months for about 76 countries enabled. That's a very, very significant moat to have, which is what the market is really appreciating and respecting us for. And this is all cloud native, and we are available across the cloud platform players. We are agnostic from that perspective. In some of these, we are going on Microsoft or AWS or IBM. So we support all of them from that perspective. Like I've shared before, close to $35 trillion of notional pooling happens on this application. And we've been consistently also recognized by multiple analysts. Next slide, please. The 12 market leading analysts with 35 plus accolades over the last 18 months, we've been consistently winning as a leadership across the market, including some of the consulting firms like Accenture, which have noted digital architecture, Gartner, what they call out. And most of our customers have been winning market accolades. HSBC was very recently rated as a #1 player for part of Eurofinance. And that's the endorsement which has helped us. This has all been possible for the technology, the customers as promoters. You go to next slide, please. And this has been contributed. What we do is based on all of this knowledge, we contribute back to the ecosystem by our IGTB Oxford School of Transaction Banking. This has been a biannual event. Last year, because of COVID, we missed. So coming year, we should be looking at launching this back very soon, whereby we bring the best of the best in the market. And we spend 3 days discussing the current trends in the technology, current trends in market from a corporate banking perspective, and how do you help contribute. And there are a number of other people who are looking at various stages of their transaction banking, from a stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3. How do you grow? What are core products? What are the key criteria? What's the CEO's dashboard looking at? So we network and share that knowledge back so that the overall community can grow from that perspective. We've again got a very high NPS score on this consistently. Next slide, please. This has helped us truly turn the world blue. I've been sharing this consistently with all of you, what our footprint is. And 2/3 of our revenue continues to come from existing customers. And we just finished a NPS survey, and we got a very high rating above market average recently, which is a proof of putting in that 87% of revenue came from existing customers, even during these tough COVID times. We were the principal solution provider with these customers of how we deliver and what we deliver. Next slide, please. So this is our market leadership team, which is helping me with Andrew, Dave, and Ted of how to navigate the market from an executing team with Oops, Atanu, Phil, and Rajesh, where we're going, taking out each of this, and each of them have been fairly long time within the organization. Dave is the most recent addition to our organization. He's our oldest customer from that perspective. And as he retired out of CIBC, he was the group CIO for CIBC. And prior to that with BMO, he's joined our Growth Advisory Council. Ted and Andrew has been helping me anchor this charter for a while. And next slide. And given the wins we have had, like Arun said, we started expanding our sales team. For a while, we had stopped doing that. Given the confidence market has seen, the funnel we have to drive that. So we've added salespeople in UK, Spain, Austria, US, UAE, Singapore. We've also strengthened the product management and delivery organization across all the product. And we are able to hire from the best of the best, be it consulting and technology company or the largest banks. So the strength of our existing organization, along with the additional capacity and capabilities which we have added, gives me the confidence that we are on the right path of the growth of what we have continued to deliver. We will continue to live up to all of that. With this, I will hand it off to Rajesh to share the commentary on GCB. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Manish, and congratulations on winning a multi-country destiny deal for liquidity management for SocGen. Let me start by reminding ourselves that GCB consists of 6 product lines. Our digital core proposition, where we compete with Temenos, Finestra, Finacle, and Mambu. Our digital lending proposition, where we are competing with nCino and Thought Machine. Our market-leading product, which is our quantum banking for central banks. The new line that we've added 6 months back on digital banks, our omni-channel solution, and our credit card solution. Let me move to the next slide. So let me start with our performance in fiscal year 21. While we saw our peers and markets having muted growth during the last year, we won 18 deals during this year. Retail banking division of Intellect won 18 deals during this year, 6 of which we classify as destiny deals, 6 were upgrade deals, and 6 were other deals. Let me talk briefly about our destiny deals. Our first deal, which is the Bank of Mozambique, is a central banking end-to-end deal that we won against SAP. Concentra is the deal, and it is our first foray into North America market. This is a deal that we won in Canada, which is on our digital banking platform. And this is a deal we won against Temenos and Backbase. Otto, which is a Germany deal that we won on IDC. The deal was won against Temenos, nCino, and Thought Machine, and also against Internal Build. Arab Bank is a very large bank in Levant market. Here we have won a 10-country rollout of digital teller, which is our IDC product. NABARD in India, which is a core banking deal. And of course, we have also won a complete cloud-hosted card deal for a large multinational bank in India. On this slide, I want to also talk a little bit about one more deal, which is the Mauritius Telecom. Mauritius Telecom is the largest telecom provider in Mauritius and is starting a digital bank there. And we have been chosen to provide the digital bank platform for Mauritius Telecom. If we can move to the next slide, please. Not only did we win good number of deals during the last year, we have been well acknowledged by analysts across globally. And also, as Manish said, many of our customers have been recognized for innovation when they've used our platform. I want to reiterate our IBS ranking, which is a #1 retail banking ranking that we won in 2020. And this is the second time in succession that we are winning this accolade from IDC. If we can go to the next slide, please. So what is driving this? It's actually our technology architecture. It's a continued focus on advanced markets and our product growth engines. Next slide, please. 18 months back, we realized that the market was changing very rapidly and was moving towards an API first and cloud native architecture. And that's the bet that we took. And I'm happy to say that at this point of time, vis-a-vis my competitors, our markets are market leading from an architecture perspective. Next slide, please. What does this mean to us? It means that all our products are now cloud native, API first, and microservices enabled. We have decoupled our UI UX layer. We now have over 300 APIs, which I would say are production grade and advanced market ready. Bayan is an organization which is founded by leading leading banks and organizations across the world. We are part of this Bayan group, and along with other members are defining API standards for financial services market that we are doing. We also, I think I've always talked about the ecosystem importance. Despite a late start, we have now caught up with our competitors on ecosystem, and we have a robust marketplace ecosystem, both globally as well as from a country perspective. And what it really gives to our customer is that they come, when they join with us, they get a ready-made marketplace, or they can create their own marketplace. If we can move to the next slide, please. Our next strategy is what we followed was our focus on Europe and North America. It's not that our other, sorry, if you can just go back to the, if it's not that we are not focusing on other markets, our other markets are also growing very handsomely, but we have been focusing as GCB, we have been focusing on Europe and North America, and we are continuously building a good momentum in this business. In fact, Europe last year was one of the largest geographies for me. If you can move to the next slide, please. So what is this advanced market strategy? Advanced market strategy is really building a capability of sales, solution, delivery, and hosting in Germany, UK, and Canada. We have a couple of marquee clients which are referenceable for us, and we are now in many deals in Europe. We have a fully hosted IDC solution in Germany and UK on AWS, and Canada in Azure, which is completely regulatory, open banking, and PSD2 compliant. And as I said last time, we are looking to launch a new product in Europe very shortly. If we can move to the next slide, please. Our third strategy is really built around 3 product growth engines: the digital core, the digital lending, and quantum banking. If we can move to the next slide, please. Our value proposition on IDC 21, if I may say, is around a fully integrated product suite where we have a completely composable PBCs cutting across core banking, lending, channels, treasury, trade, finance, AML. Also, it has, we are using analytics using AI, ML, and also a very powerful backend engine. What this powerful backend, sorry, if you can go back. Yeah, powerful backend engine is doing for us is that it is reducing the cost, the overall TCO for our clients. On a benchmark that we did versus some of our peers in this space, we found that our TCO is about 10 to 12% cheaper than our competitors. Next slide, please. Lending is a growth engine for us. It has done very well for us last year. And what we really have is probably the only player in the market which has an integrated lending suite across retail customers, SME customers, and corporate customers. And it also cut across loan origination, loan management, collateral, limit management, and debt management. Again, very high hyperscale cloud technologies we are doing. And in some of our POCs that we have done, we've been able to show very high TPS and very low critical EODs for more than 1 million customers. If we can go to the next slide, please. Quantum banking, as you know, is a market leader in this category. And today we have 12 modules. None of our competitors have this. And these 12 modules are both loosely and tightly coupled for us so that I can sell part of these modules, or I can sell the entire central banking solution. Next slide, please. So in summary, after a calibrated growth for the last couple of years, FY21 was a good year for the business. All engines of the business, as Arun said in his initial commentary, are firing: sales, solution, execution, engineering, and customer support. 3 of my products, IDC, IDL, and QCBS, have hit critical mass. And now, as we see a growing momentum in Europe and North America, we are now planning to invest in some specific areas of the business. We are looking to hire more SMEs, certain select sales position. One of the other things that we are seeing in our business is a very rapid movement in cloud. Most of the deals that we are winning are cloud deals, and therefore we are investing in cloud operations. So overall, as I said today, cautiously optimistic because we are still in COVID, and we are having a huge impact from a COVID in India perspective, and strongly optimistic from a medium to long term. So that's what I had from a retail banking perspective. Thank you for listening to me, and I want to hand it over to Banesh now.
Hi. Hey, thanks, Rajesh. I'm just going to talk a couple minutes on the Seek business. I think we've sort of spoken at length on it. I'm sort of going to talk to you about 3 specific areas: technology, how the product leadership is taking shape, and the markets. So actually Seek, if you go to the next slide, Seek on the technology side, during the COVID times, we've seen significant growth in digital enablement. But one of the other things we've seen is an explosion in data. our data platform, which is now fully ready, can take thousands of data points from various partners. It is then able to use that data to triangulate that data for our customers so that they can take superior user journeys using intelligent data so that they can make a differentiation for customers much better than their competition. The platform is up and running. All of Seek customers are cloud and all of them are subscription based. So directionally, that's what the market is doing. Most of those customers are either in the US or in the UK, and we have some in Australia too. I think the other interesting thing that has happened in technology during this year is the launch of the IDX AI platform. Now, the IDX AI platform actually started first for Magic Submission launch. Magic Submission is an onboarding for insurance. But actually, we've seen interest in IDX now across the various different business lines. We've launched Magic Aadhaar, as you know, recently. And we've now got 2 or 3 other products around onboarding for banking, ESG for investments, well underway and in discussion with clients to try and implement it for them. And the other thing we've done in technology is that we've actually upgraded our Exponent platform, and it's gone live now for 2 large insurance companies in the US. I think if you go to the next slide, from a market perspective, I think we've seen significant progress in the way in which customers take the IDX platform, access the data that we have on our on our Fabric data platform, and actually triangulate this data together to have a superior journey. And that is actually resonating very well with our customers. We've also got the opportunity now to be able to launch Magic Aadhaar, which is actually a version that came out on our IDX platform that will actually help people do a combination of validation as well as verification of data, and then actually ingesting with our strong API capability that Intellect has across the various different legacy platforms that the customer uses. So if you move forward, one of the things, next slide. Yeah. So from a product leadership perspective, I think what we are seeing is not only have we built an excellent team, we've also scaled up our data sciences group, because we have really become the core of the AI ML capability for our customers. Recently, in April, we won a very important deal with one of the largest UK wealth providers. What we've been able to do is actually automate the investment management division from an AI ML perspective. This is a multi-year deal that we've signed with them to build that capability. And that includes actually implementing the ESG capability. So from a leadership perspective, we seem to be getting customers interested in leveraging the full cycle, which is the capability to extract data from documents, whether they're electronic documents or paper documents, whether they're structured or semi-structured data, and actually then validate those documents and use intelligence tools to be able to take decisions and differentiated journeys so that they can actually use them very efficiently in the end-to-end digital enablement capability that they've built. And I think one of the good things we've seen is our Exponent underwriting platform. On a standalone basis, it was a platform that actually was getting customers an opportunity to move away from core systems like policy admin systems and actually do underwriting for insurance outside of the core platforms. Now with our data platform, they are actually able to use both IDX, which is Magic Submission, along with data, to be able to underwrite significantly faster and better for customers than they have before. So if you move forward, next slide, I think we've got extremely good interest building up from customers. I think we've also launched a very powerful digital marketing capability. And I think that's helping us reach, we've got almost 30 active discussions in progress right now with customers across the world, mainly in the US and in India. And I think hopefully we'll see a lot more AI ML implementations going forward. Next slide. I think in 2020, we had 7 awards from almost all the major analysts and independent entities like Celent, Novareka, ETE, Data IQ for AI ML, as well as for using data more efficiently for user journeys. So I think our positioning is right. Our monetization is just about beginning on this platform, and you'll see a lot more of this going forward. Thank you.
Yeah. So just taking to next from here, the 3 businesses out of 4 businesses which we initially announced, and I think the beauty in 2021 happened is that out of 4, 3 businesses are fully operational. The monetization of the third business like Seek will happen this year when the AI platform, the pipeline building is happening. First 2 businesses, first GTB start delivering results in 2019 to 2020. GCB start delivering results. Now it's a time Seek is delivering result. And let me take you through some of the next business pipeline, which we initially suggested to you that it will work in, we will work on 2021. Can you hear or no?
We can hear you.
Yeah. So RTM is the fourth business which we are working on, in which treasury, the entire money management piece of the treasury, we are now working a GTM strategy around it, and that GTM strategy is doing well. We have went live in UAE. So these are the small things which are looking at it. But I think 21-22 is a critical year where we are working on treasury for central banks and treasury for the NBFCs, and looking for Europe to enter into the treasury business. Next piece which is important is a wealth business. The high growth engine product is a wealth product. The global market doesn't have an integrated solution with almost 12 pieces from RM stations. So we have taken Avlok as a model and work on Avlok and start building complete wealth marketplace as an open, composable wealth solutions. We have a live customers in Malaysia, live customers in Singapore, Thailand, India. And now this is another area of growth for coming year. China Banking Corporation has gone live, which is a complete trust engine and complete capability. So this is, we are competing against Avlok and moving forward to build up a open marketplace in wealth. Next. The iGov and GEM business, I think after a lot of investment in last 3 years, 2021 was a good period where this government adoption of this platform is happening. And again, 21-22 will be the good year when we will be moving from last year. It was more of a break-even year for us. This year we'll be moving towards positive growth cycle in GEM business and looking for a higher volume this year. So moving from here, Sarnu will just share few financial performance which you already might have seen it because it was circulated in the morning, but he'll just give you the context of it. Over to Sarnu.
Thank you, Arun. Good evening to everybody. Yeah, as Arun rightly said that we have already circulated the information in advance, so all of you might have gone through that. See, as you know that in Q4, we have reported a revenue of 3.9 billion, registering a growth of 10% as compared to a similar quarter of the last year. Similarly, in terms of license revenue is concerned that we have reported 849 million and AMC revenue of 750 million. Cloud and SaaS 645 million. It is an important aspect to be noted that as a result of that, we are able to register a growth of 68% as a cloud and SaaS revenue is concerned in the current quarter. We have also reported a gross profit of 2.2 billion, resulting to a gross margin of 56.5% as compared to 53.6% of the last year. Similarly, EBITDA, we have reported 985 million. As a result, this resulted into an EBITDA margin of 25% as compared to 18% the last year. We have reported a net profit of 806 million, resulting to a net profit margin of 20% as compared to 11% of the last year. And the important aspect what I would like to bring it all the members is that cash and cash equivalent as of 31st March 2021, we have reported 2.6 billion as against 1.36 in the last year. However, net cash on 31st March 2021 is 2.1 billion. As of 31st March 2020, it was 1.2 billion net debt. So that means from a net debt of 1.2 billion, we moved to a positive cash of 2.1 billion. Sorry. Our total collection in Q4, we collected 3.7 billion. Our debtor days is 114 days as compared to 150 days. Our investment in product development was 284 million in Q4. These are the numbers related to the Q4. Let us go to next slide. These are the numbers what we are talking about for the financial year 2021. So as we see that we have reported total revenue of 15 financial year, registering a growth of 11% as compared to the previous year. In case of our license revenue, we have reported 3.3 billion, registering a growth of 35%. Our AMC revenue 2.9 billion, registering a growth of 18%. Our SaaS and subscription is 1.8 billion, registering a growth of 47%. Look, the license revenue, AMC revenue, and SaaS revenue is what we call as a license linked revenues. It was 46% the last year, moved to 54% in the current year. Our gross profit for the current year was 8.3 billion. As a result that our gross profit margin was 56% as compared to 48% the last year. Our EBITDA for the year was 3.57 billion. As a result, we are able to report a margin of 24% as compared to 6% the last year. Our net profit is 2.62 billion in the current year. As a result that our margin improved from 1% to 18%. As I said, our gross cash in 31st March 2021, it is 2.6 billion, and our effective operating cash is 3.3 billion. Our net cash, as I said, that 2.1 billion as compared to the 1.2 billion is a net debt. So that from net debt of 1.2 billion, we move to 2.1 billion of the positive cash. It is a huge achievement from the point of the collections are concerned, that as well as the other parameters what I mentioned that. I also did mention that debtor days is 114 days as compared to 150 days. We have invested in product development to the extent of 1.1 billion in the current year. Our HGA cost has come down from 17.2% to 13.7%. Our R&D and product development cost stood at 13.7% as compared to 7.2% in the last year. So these are the slides in terms of the same numbers has been depicted in different manner. Maybe as you can see, just keep go to the previous slide. Our EPS for the quarter is 24 rupees 25 paisa. Go to next slide. Our EPS for the year is 19.76. Go to the next slide. As we can see that we have depicted the revenues in each quarter wise. As you can see that last 6 quarters, our revenue mostly has been increasing quarter after quarter. That is, it talks about the sustainability of the growth. What you are talking about that. Go to the next slide. This is what I talked about a few minutes back, that as far as the license link revenues are concerned, that license revenue, AMC revenue, and SaaS revenue, if I take 3 streams of the revenues, every year after year, this has been improving that. That is, as I mentioned in the previous slide, it was 46% in the previous year, it moved to 54%, prior to that is 42%. So it is a good sign in terms of the profitability of the company is concerned. Go to the next slide. As we can see here is that we classify our business into advanced market and growth market. In the advanced market, our business is 55% as compared to 59% in the previous year. Go to the next slide. Once again, PAT and EBITDA we have depicted on account, on a quarter wise. If you see in Q3 FY20, it was a negative. From thereafter, every quarter we have been reporting a PAT, a positive PAT as compared to the previous quarters. So even the similar fashion in EBITDA in Q3 of FY20 is 36 million, which has moved to 985. So we already talked about the collections and net cash in detail in the previous slides. Next, as we can see that we got a healthy pipeline, and our pipeline as of Q4 is 573 million. We got a similar. Most important aspect we have to look into is that our destined deals are 43 deals as compared to 41 deals of Q4 20. Similarly, the most important aspect is that our average deal size is 5.6 million, and the destined deal constitute 53%. So it is an important aspect for a company of our size and nature. Go to the next slide. As we can see here, is we are given active pursuits. One is the high value pursuits, which is more than 50 crores. It was 43 in Q3, which was it was 41 in Q4 20. And similarly, as you can say that more than 50 crores comes to 80, and 30 to 50 is 15, and 20 to 30 is 20. It has improved as compared to previous quarter of the similar years. This is the currency wise breakup which we are given here. So as you can see that see that in terms of INR is 20% and USD is 37%, major GBP is 16%. These are the primary currencies in terms of the revenues are concerned there. This we already talked about that. This is all from my side. I think I will hand over to Prabal now. Prabal?
Well, you're on mute.
Hi. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. So you heard the entire top management team, I guess, and I think we stressed on three critical aspects, which are inherent to the success of what you have seen so far. One was our superior technology in building a multi-product fintech platform. Two is the product portfolio, the integrated product portfolio which we are launching year after year, which is like Arun mentioned and others mentioned as well, is both composable and contextual. And third is the ability to win in the marketplace consistently, through a invigorated sales and marketing strategy. I think these are the three things which you heard about. I would like to just, from a summary perspective, talk about 2-3 additional points. One was the first and foremost for me was that we had made a commitment to the financial markets last year, same time, that we will try and do about 250 crores of profitability after tax. I think we have kept it. Now, obviously, the question is, once it's done, it becomes a part of history, but it's important
There is a growth in the AMC revenue. So that is more important again. Last 3 quarters, yes, we have a close to 75 crore is the AMC. It marginally goes from 74 crore. Some of it is foreign exchange rate also. In first quarter, the rate was different, and fourth quarter, the FX rate is different. So that's how the minor differences are there. But it's consistently growing, not as high as what we anticipate, but it's growing in the right direction.
And Rahul, just to answer your question on this, or maybe Venkat can also say that, but in terms of the ARR growth, which I talked about, which is AMC subscription, SaaS revenue, etc. So there, the composite ARR growth which we are generating is about 21% CAGR over the last 3 years, and AMC has been growing at a CAGR of about 11 to 12% over the last 3 years. So it's growing at a steady clip. Yes, I mean, there could be more opportunities, as Arun mentioned, that's fine. But it's growing at a steady clip of about 11 to 12%. And the rest is coming through new businesses of SaaS, etc.
Right. Just to get a bit clarity on that. So what is the ideal tenure from license to AMC one should consider, given the implementation and go live or warranty period in between? So what should be the standard license to AMC conversion period?
It varies. It can be from 1 year to so some of the licenses we charge AMC upfront. So it's a very, very starting point itself. We charge the AMC, but in some other cases it takes 12 months. Some of the cases it may 18 months. Some of the cases maybe 24 months. So it's varying from time to time. And few projects we may land up, which is transformational nature projects, goes up to 3 years as well, when the large deals are there.
Right. And the bulk of the revenue increase in the quarter came from the GEM business. So is it safe to assume that this big destination deal has come in the month of in this quarter rather than the previous quarter?
SocGen deal in last quarter itself, but I think you need to understand the license revenue is to be constantly every quarter you need to build up license revenue of 85 crore, 90 crore. It's not that it's a stable business like service business. So we need to sign up this 90 crore licenses every quarter, which is close to 11 to 12 million dollar new licenses, which is a license sale deal.
Okay, and lastly, from my side, reason for this tax reversal, and how much more of this is left, and what should be the ETR we should build for FY22?
That we can just respond to you. The tax rates, some of the numbers, Sarnu will respond to you separately. I think in this call will not be the appropriate. We can just respond, Daulat.
Sure, Arun, I will respond to him.
Okay, thank you. I'll join back the queue.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rahul. Next, we have Amit. Amit, please ask your question. Your line is getting unmuted. Amit?
Hi. Congratulations on a stellar set of Arun, and congratulations to your team as well. So just one quick question I had, like, so it's with regards to the split of the license revenue versus your regular stuff. So like, okay, do you have any guidance going forward on that? If the license revenue is going to increase from here onwards, percentage split?
The idea is focus is cloud and recurring revenue. So the recurring revenue is a key focus. If you look at the cloud revenue and SaaS revenue growth this quarter is substantially large. So if 240 crore is the annual run rate on the cloud revenue business, which is and that's where the company strength comes in. So if you look at our competitive landscape of nCino or first cycle we competing against a regular player like Finestra, Temenos, Avloq was our competition. Now we are moving towards a competition which is a cloud-based, subscription-based competition like nCino's. nCino is a company which is listed in US. There's a company which is Mambu is not listed yet. Palantir is listed over here. Those are the companies now we are getting into. Our technologies are now competing much better than Temenos, Finestra, but we are now getting into the next stage. So that way we are the monitoring skills is on license, monitoring focus is on cloud and subscription revenue. So we are just doing the balance between the two. So you may have to look two things together. All the things linked to the license link revenue, which is 54%. So 54% is the number which is the license link revenue. Quarter on quarter in future also you will say somewhere dip in the license, somewhere increase in the license. But that is not a predictable quarter on quarter number. But on an annualized basis, that number is good to see.
Thank you. Just another question, like also when I heard the conference call for the Q3, there was a guidance that you provided that like, okay, you'll be able to grow the earnings at 25 to 30% over the next 3 years. You have the visibility for at least next 2 years. So you still stick to that, or you want to up the guidance?
No, we are not. We don't want to. As of now, COVID is not out of the world as of now, and there's no need of increasing the guidance. We are still saying that our growth will be double-digit number. We will able to do the EPS growth of 30%. We'll able to do the EBITDA margin movement from 25% to 30%. So those are the three metrics we are looking to still manage. There's nothing difference over there. And this 26%, 25%, I think since we are managing a lot of cyclic business, steel business and brick businesses where 0.5% or 0.6% makes a difference. In our business, in first 3 quarters, the growth happened from 40 crore to 60 crore to 80 crore. I think the technology businesses are very different from other businesses. So that's what I would like to highlight to you, that these numbers of margin businesses are not serially or linearly linked, which is there in other industry segment, because they don't have a leverage available. In technology business, all the IPs are already written. If we sell 10 times, we have all of it, 90% of it comes to the bottom line. And that's the business, that's the beauty of this cloud business, which is there. So, and that's how the profit trajectory can be designed. So please don't worry about this 1% up and 1% down in the margin. And that's what I also highlighted in CNBC 3 years back, that when she was asked, Lata was asking that you have 7% margin, you will be 9%, 10% margin. Can you reach to 12% margin? Her point was 12% margin is a great number from 7%. When we did 25% margin, then it's a different ballgame.
No, I totally understand, and I'm a very loyal shareholder of Intellect and have been holding it for the since very early stage, and I hope to grow along with the company. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amit. Next, we have Mr. Mohit Jain. Please unmute his line. Mohit, please ask your question.
Yeah, sir. One is on this recurring thing from advanced markets. Like this time, we had a big presentation from IGTB also on advanced markets, and I was hoping that our quarterly number will start improving. So this time also the growth came from India. So what could be the reason? And from a deal pipeline perspective, do you expect these numbers to change materially next year?
I think it's an overall business, Mohit. I think we don't look at it every time that sometime advanced market will give some high numbers, sometime India will give some good numbers. I think that's the beauty of the portfolio management, that we are able to consistently grow even last quarter to 382 crore to 394 crore with the currency rate coming down to 72.90 is a good growth from that perspective. So I think we'll manage the portfolio growth rather than an individual piece, and that's why we don't want to announce the individual revenue line. Some people are asking question that give the separate revenue streams of GCB, GTB, and SEEK. That's why we don't want to announce those numbers, because it's unnecessary, creates a micro detail rather than looking at a consistent, predictable growth. What we have promised to you 3 years back, that we'll be profitable in 2021 and start generating 20% EBITDA margin. We demonstrated 25% EBITDA margin, so 20% EBITDA margin. We'd given a surprise to the investor. That time 20% EBITDA, when we were talking about 2019, was doubtful that can we do 20% EBITDA. When we did 25% EBITDA this year, that's a big surprise to most of the investors from that perspective. So I think that we are in that stage of monetization, and that monetization on the cloud and subscription revenue will have a ups and downs to some extent on quarter basis. But overall trajectory is important. So if we are winning a lot of cloud deals, it will not be showing up in $54 million, because those cloud deals will be booked only on monthly basis. They are not booked upfront. And I mentioned to you, cloud deal of 5-year at a $100,000 per month will be bigger than a $5 million or $10 million license, which could have been booked in a quarter. So that's a difference over here, because there's a mix of cloud and subscription and the license revenue. Individual piece by piece, you should not monitor. That's what my request to you.
Not even on an annual basis.
Annual basis, it's okay, but if I'm choosing to get to the cloud revenue over the license, then my license growth may not happen, but cloud growth may happen. If I'm demonstrating 47% growth on cloud revenue, one should be more happier than the license growth number, because I will be choosing to, this is my choice I'm making for giving a longer returns to the investor rather than shorter return to the investor. Okay.
Yes, sir. Second, sir, one more. One more, sir, if I can. On the order backlog, can you share any number for this year?
Order backlog is similar to the last quarter. It's around 1,200 crore kind of a order backlog. But as industry practice, it's not there in product companies order backlog kind of scenarios. So we are now off from order backlog publishing. Your cloud revenue can be good forecast of the order backlog, and the AMC could be a forecast for the order backlog. And implementation revenues is not critical focus for us to grow. Our focus is cloud subscription and license linked revenue from 54% to 60%.
Okay, thanks, Mohit. Next, we have Mr. Mayank Babla. Mayank, you can ask your question. Probably 1 or 2 questions, Arun.
Yeah.
Mayank, are you there?
Hello.
Yeah, Mayank, please go.
Yeah. Thank you for taking my question. Congratulations on a good set of numbers. So my first question is to Rajesh, sir. When you spoke about the TCO being 10 to 12% cheaper than our competitors on the back of a powerful back-end engine, could you just please expand a little bit on that? And second question was to Arun, sir. Regarding in the beginning, you said that we can replicate streaming tech from Netflix and implement that in our offerings. Could you just throw a little light on that? Thank you.
Sure. Let me take the first question, Mayank. So I think when we say TCO from a bank's perspective, we are looking at software, we're looking at hardware, we're looking at implementation life cycle, right? How quickly does this product get implemented versus our competitors? When you put all the costs together, because of the powerful backend engine and the open API architecture that we have, the benchmark studies that we have done versus our competitors seem to indicate to us that we are 10 to 12% cheaper than what a comparable price competitor software would cost to the bank. So that's what I meant by the total TCO.
Thank you.
Yeah, on Netflix technology, there's a multiple database. Corporate data is very huge data. Each large corporate like Reliance or Coca-Cola or GE, they will have hundreds of accounts, and those needs to be visible on the basis of the balancing and liquidity of those accounts. For that, we are using a data engineering Pegasus engine, which is collecting this data from the redo log of Oracle if you're a technology person, and then streaming that into the front layer and doing a cache data management to give a mouse over analytics. So normally when you have a screen, you click on it to get analytics. Over here, you have a screen just when you take a cursor there, and cursor will be sensed by the person and able to deliver the complete analytics over there. So it's a completely next generation analytics engine for corporate bankers to make faster decision in the industry. And that's where the synchronization of the entire back end to front end technology is, we inspired from Netflix. We pick up some open source from Netflix. And then in last 4 years of our working, we are able to streamline for banking, which has gone live in few US banks, and US banks are loving it.
Thank you so much. That's all from my side.
So there are some questions on talent. Yeah, talent. I think industry is having a talent issue right now. The growth of the demand of the talent has gone up. So we are working in looking at it. If you have to do some rationalization of the compensation or working with some other key people. So that's a continuous journey for doing it. We are able to attract better talent because we are a product company versus service company. So we are able to attract a good talent, as Manish was putting it. But still, that's a challenge. That's a challenge which we need to recognize. So these are the few questions I could see in a box which you have positioned.
There are two more questions, Arun. Can we read out?
Yeah, please.
Next, we have Mr. Dhruv Shah. Dhruv, can you ask your question, please?
Sure, yeah. Congratulations on a very good set of numbers. The first question is on you had a fantastic quarter, 12 wins in a quarter. How many of them are in cloud, and how have you fared vis-a-vis competition in your own view?
So I think on technology perspective, almost 80% deals are in a cloud delivery. Some of the difference in the cloud deals today is whether on-premise cloud or a public cloud. So we have, as a public cloud, which Intellect Cloud is there, we started getting these deals only last year. So we have 2 or 3 deals in a Intellect Cloud, which is a public cloud, versus 4 to 5 deals are in a cloud of the client, and rest of the 4 to 5 is in a on-premise old technology delivery on-premise. deal. So that's one element. So we have seen the traction of coming to Intellect Cloud, and that's a big change happening in this year, 2021.
How have you fared vis-a-vis competition, Arun?
Competition, yeah, that's a getting an entry into Germany, Nisha, is an important point, or a France or a Canada. We had a competition Backbase in Canada, and winning against Backbase, winning against all the big players in Europe, and selecting Indian vendor is a big success point for 2021, and that's what we are celebrating in the beginning itself. The beauty is that we are able to build up this 300, almost 900 APIs across Intellect. Rajesh itself has a 300 APIs. Manish has a close to 350, 360 APIs. This composable and contextual is a winning proposition today, and that's why we are so much excited right now.
So if I can just add to that, Arun. So I think what we are seeing when we compete in the markets and in the deals that we participate, Dhruv, we are facing competitors like Temenos, nCinos, Backbase, the 800-pound gorillas, and we are able to hold fort against them and win against them. So in the deals that we participate, right, we are neck to neck against our competitors.
That's very encouraging. Arun, my next question is how much mining is possible in Society General as well as in OHHO, the German retailer where you got enrolled into, and in Society General, which is one of the leading banks in France. I'm sure there are other opportunities within the same account.
Yeah. So there are two areas. One is in the same account which we grow, and those opportunities are there. But immediately doesn't happen. But the first year we need to deliver first solution to SocGen for next 12 months to 18 months, and then we establish our credentials to get a next lead. But whatever the wins we had in last 2 years, and we have gone live, we can establish our credential to grow for the growth and cross selling. So some accounts we are now able to grow is because we have demonstrated a good NPS score, and system has gone live. So whenever some client gives a good deal to us, it takes 18 months later to go to him, sell ourselves.
And my last question is, how do you compare yourself with nCino and Palantir? nCino is into the banking software, and obviously Palantir is a big data company. So when your big data revenue starts coming in, and how do you compare yourself with both these companies?
Rajesh, nCino, if you can just mention.
nCino is a great platform, right? And it's built on the Salesforce.com. So they have a very strong relationship with Salesforce, and they have many clients, mostly in America market, right? And they are now trying to build a business outside America, coming to Western Europe, etc. So when we are seeing them in the market, right, we have, and I think I covered that in the last technology session also, we have certain strengths of why we win against these new cloud players like nCino's, Mambu, etc. Just to give you a little bit, the domain that we bring, the vertical domain that we bring, none of these players are able to bring. And this comes from our BFSI legacy and the pedigree that we have. So I think we have certain advantages when a bank chooses, when a bank compares us versus nCino, because of our domain, our functionality, and our pedigree that we bring in. From an architecture perspective, I would say nCino and us are almost at par, right? Because of the new architecture that we have, and they are cloud-born. So overall, in that mix, when we are looking at some of these clients, we are seeing a head-to-head fight between nCino and us.
That's very useful.
I can share a little bit, Arun, on the Palantir thing, Dhruv.
Okay.
So Dhruv, the Palantir model of the platform on the cloud is very similar to what we have built. However, the data, and we've got thousands of data points coming from multiple sources that we help a client identify and compose and consume these data points along with their own data. And some of this data that we bring, and this is very current and relevant data to help them triangulate it for taking decisions. So our platform capability is similar. Palantir, of course, started with a lot of government business for data and then extended it to other areas. I think we believe that the ability to take data and put the user journey in such a way that it can help our BFSI client improve the decisioning speed and quality is where the difference is, because there's data everywhere, but if you can't really put it together very well, you don't get the outcome that the customer is looking for. And that's what we saw, as I mentioned earlier, with IDX. It is also running on that same data platform, but it helps you not just extract data from documents where the competition may be, multi-million dollar companies like Kofax, etc. I think the ability to take the extracted data and to validate it with our data platform and then triangulate it to take a decision in rapid pace, I think is where the difference is. So from a Palantir perspective, we have sort of similar approach, but very focused on our customer journeys right now, but can be scalable as we scale the platform for IDX, for several other business lines. As you know, we sort of launched Magic Aadhaar, which is a way in which we just validate, extract Aadhaar information very efficiently. So similar type of models we are looking at adding in various other areas.
Fantastic. All the best, and it's quite encouraging and useful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Nishit Bhai. Arun, can we take one or two more questions?
Just we need
Because
to
already
close.
20 minutes.
20 minutes ahead. Just one more question, maybe.
One more question. So next we have Mr. Ravi Mehta from The Financial. Ravi, please ask your question.
Yeah, hi. Am I audible? Am I audible? Hello.
Yeah, please, Ravi, go on.
Congrats on a good set of numbers. Just wanted to clarify one thing, that we saw an uptick in the subscription revenues in Q4. And unlike license, this seems to be more sticky, and can we build this to be a kind of a recurring number and growing further, unlike a license which we can see, up and down quarter to quarter?
Yeah. And that's right. Our whole focus is what you are looking for, to increase the SaaS revenue and recurring revenue, because recurring revenue is most important and most valuable, because once you sign it up, it's a next 10-year profile and it grows after that. And license revenue has a leading to the AMC. So both revenues are important, but like the value of the SaaS revenue is much highly valuable on your returns to the investor.
And can we also draw some conclusion that the recent improvement in DSO days and also gross margins can be attributed to some point in growing SaaS revenues?
Two things. One, yeah. So SaaS revenue can give a lesser DSOs. Definitely, that's a important point. But more important point is our design thinking, application, and delivery. So in banking industry, the large transformation deals even it gets extended. We are able to deliver a large transformational deals in less than a year. So we transform, which used to take years. With our technology strength, we are able to deliver now in a month, 6 months, 9 months, we are able to do the transformation. And that's where the DSOs are coming down. So if DSOs are quite right now coming down substantially, if I remove the India DSOs, our other DSO will be less than 100 days, non-India DSOs. So it's improving quarter on quarter because our technologies are improving quarter on quarter. And it's just a technology strength which will make us a DSO better. Ravi.
Yeah, that was very helpful. Thanks and all the best.
Thank you,
Ravi. Thank you, Ravi.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for joining this call. In case still you have any questions, you can please write to us or call us for the same.
Just copy all those questions from the mailbox, Parveen, and just see how much we can answer afterwards.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.